Hello and welcome back to my RC channel. I'm AndyRC and today I'm going to be checking out the Makerfire Leader 120. Now I'm pretty excited about this model because on paper it has all of the ingredients to be a fantastic brushless micro, so let me throw some specs at you. So it has a 120mm frame, hence the name. We have got 1104 7500 kV motors. They don't seem to be branded, but we'll have to see if they are any good. Now, as this is a 120mm frame, it can take some pretty big props. These are 2.7-inch propellers, I think. They list them as 70mm, and you are given a spare set of those. I really like this green colour here, and you are given enough screws as well. I think there's one screw left over to screw these in. Now you need a 1.5mm hex driver to screw those in. It doesn't come with an Allen key or anything like that. Then we have got a 4-in-1 10 amp ESC board, and then a Omnibus F3 flight controller with a built-in Betaflight on-screen display. And then from there we have got a 25mW all-in-one camera with a sleeve dipole antenna. It's a 48 channel camera, so very similar to the camera of the Aurora series, but it is just stuck at 25mW, this one. So we have got a button on the front there which can switch between NTSC and PAL, and also reverse the image of the camera as well. And then we have got a button on the back, so a long press of that will take you through the different bands, and you've got various LEDs on the back which actually are quite difficult to see, and then short press will take you through the 8 different channels in that particular band. The camera actually is on a 3D printed mount, and you can adjust the angle of it to whatever you like. We've got some screws on the side there, so you might want to tinker with that to get the desired angle. Now this model is a plug and fly, so you do have to add your own receiver. So I have added a D8 receiver here. It's one of the receivers that I usually attach to my brushed micros, so like the QX95 or something like that, and then you do have to solder it to the board, so there's no connector here. So we have the ground there, and then we have the 5V, and we also have the signal, and I believe on the next one over there's a 3V if you want to use DSMX or DSM2 as well, but you are going to have to solder that in. And then for S-Bus, it is on the UART3, so I had to enable that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It comes with a 2-cell battery. Now it says on the website that it is a 550 milliamp 80C battery, but this one says 50C and 500 milliamp. Hopefully 50C will be enough to power everything up, so the receiver, the on-screen display, the ESCs, the flight controller. And yeah, it's a 2-cell battery. Now I imagine that you could put a 3-cell on there because it's 10 amp, but with these 2.7-inch props, we might not need it, so I will let you know. Now it weighs 101 grams with the battery, so very lightweight setup. And we've got this really nice battery strap here with a feed through, which I really like. The frame's really nice as well, very thick and very nicely rounded off. The screws are recessed, so the battery will fit nice and flat, and we've also got a bit of tape going around the motor wires as well. I really like it. JST connector on the back though, rather than XT30, so I'm going to have to see if we get any brownouts. Hopefully not. But yeah, that's always a risk with these types of models. You don't get anything else with it, no instructions. It just comes in this box like this. Like I say, you get the props, the battery, and that is it. So I have set up a model in my Tyrannus. Now it wasn't set up for any flight modes whatsoever, so I've set up a arming switch there on the AUX 1, then I've got my modes, so I set up angle, acro, and air, and it also has a buzzer built into it. Like I say, pretty great ingredients on this model. So I've set up my AUX 3 for a buzzer, for the lost model arm, and I've also set the voltage as well to 2.9. It was set to 3, but I've set it to 2.9. Tend to find that's a good value for these micros with the smaller batteries there. So this one has actually come with Betaflight 3.15 installed on it and D-Shot 600. So yeah, D-Shot compatible BL-Heli-S ESCs, which is nice. Yeah, it seems like a really good model. I have kept the PIDs on there because it looks like as well that they have updated the PIDs for this model. I don't know whether it's going to fly nice, but of course PIDs are subjective, so I may change those out, but the D value is like 30. Seems a little bit too high for me for a micro, so I have to see if I get any fluttering or any heat from the motors. But I'm gonna fly it first of all like that, and then if I need to change them out I will. Let's see if there's anything else that I changed there. I think that was it. Oh, also the rates were different as well. Strange rates, so I actually changed those to my liking, which is 0.8 on the Super 8 there. I think it was set to like 1.20 on the actual rate, which I think would be too much for me, so I went and changed that as well. But yeah, really promising looking model. The build seems really nice, the quality looks really nice, so let's go and take it for a fly and see if it flies as good as it looks on paper. Okay, let's go for the line of sight with this one, starting off in angle mode. Wow, it seems very zippy already. Okay, let's go for the punch. What? Let's have a listen at it. I'm hearing a little bit of a flutter, so I think, just as I suspected, the D gain's a little bit too high. I'm gonna bring that down. You know what? People give gearbest a lot of stick, but they have some of the best models. Just look at that, it's bonkers. Some of my favourite models are from gearbest, the Fury B Futon, the AR Fun, and potentially this one. It's going to Acro. I think 3S would be overkill with it. Yeah, those PIDs need sorting out though. I should have known better. This is a beast. Very quiet as well. I have to listen really hard for that flutter. I imagine it flies alright. And I imagine the motors don't get too hot either. But in the back of my mind, I'm just like, yeah, that D gain is too high, I need to change that. So I would say nice try with the PIDs, but not quite right. But wow, component-wise, line of sight anyway, thumbs up. This could be a contender for one of my favorite models. Of course I have to fly at FPV first of all, but whoa, it's looking good. It's got one of those cameras on there that's known for not being too great when it comes to reception. But so far I absolutely love it. Not getting any brownouts here line of sight, but I usually abuse the copter a lot more when flying at FPV, so I will have to reserve my opinion for them, but it's looking good. No flips of death yet. Have they finally realized that we need a decent battery with these models? Oh, I love it. I love it. I love those green props too. Look at that. So much power on a 2S. And the fact that it could potentially run a 3S, I mean, it doesn't need it, I'll tell you that now. It does not need a 3S, this model. It may draw too many amps, and I'm not sure I want to risk it when it flies this good on a 2S. So look at that. this potentially is a fantastic model. Like I say, you can't judge it purely off the line of sight, but it's usually a good indication when it flies nicely line of sight. It's gonna fly nicely FPV. The only concern I have, that camera. Could you replace that camera? Absolutely. I don't want to though. Listen how quiet it is. I can't hear it over the noise of the wind, and it's a windy day here today as well. Right, that's enough messing around. Let's do some FPV. Okay, so let me explain why this model hasn't quite cut it. It was so close, but then I flew at FPV and I gave it some abuse, and I have to say it probably took about 30 seconds or so until I was able to find a problem, but then I was able to get it to brown out, and I thought, okay, it's just the battery. So it's a 50C battery, it needs probably an 80C battery. So I then went and got one of my 2-cell 80C batteries, and I was able to get that brown out as well, and you shall see it in a moment. It manifests itself in the form of a random quick roll, like flip of death. However, it's not as bad as a flip of death because it never actually crashed. It would just flip for a second or so, but it would do it no matter the C rating of the battery. I even have some 120C rated 2S battery with a JST connector. It would still do it. So I would say that the battery that they have provided with this model is actually very good. The problem with this model is it has the wrong connector. The JST connector just isn't big enough to provide the current that is needed to power everything on this model. I also tried a 3S battery with a high C rating as well, and it did the flip as well. So this model was so close to being the best of the best, and its only flaw is the connector that they have used. One thing I want to mention though is the price. This model, even though it's a plug and fly, it undercuts the competition. So the best of the best for me is the Ishin Lizard and the AR Fun and the AR Fun 95 Pro. But those models are more expensive, you know, about £100 to £114. This one, at the date of this video, is £85, and then the receiver that I use was like £4. So yes, it's definitely cheaper than those models. So if you went and got yourself an XT30 connector like I'm going to do and put it on this model, then I would imagine this will be up there with the best of the best. I think the Lizard has a better camera. This has the same camera or very similar camera to the AR Fun Pro, and it's a downside to that model, and yeah, it's no better on this model as well. But I love the bigger props. It just needs a better connector, so I am definitely going to revisit this model, but out of the box it is not good enough for me. I think if you were just flying it around casually, you wouldn't get that problem, but I like to abuse my models, put full throttle in and do crazy acro with them, and yeah, as you can see periodically in this video, it would randomly flip out. So yeah, I cannot say that it's the best of the best. But I am going to put a XT30 connector on there and see how it performs then, because I think it will perform a lot better. Anyways, if you wish to get one, I'll put a link in the description. And as always, thanks so much for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Cheers.